So in this video I'm going to show you how you can set up a Navisworks file to show the revisions of your ShipConstructor project. So this is connected right to the ShipConstructor database, so it will show data in real time. So to start off, you have to create a Navisworks file. I suspect the majority of you guys already know how to do this. Ideally it would be a NWF file if you want to be linked to your ShipConstructor, so as that model changes, this gets reflected automatically. However, we are going to be creating an NWD just for performance reasons. So the very first thing you have to do is go to Data Tools. And what Data Tools does is it allows us to add properties to Navisworks that can mine data straight from the ShipConstructor project. So the first thing is to create a new one. But in this case, I have already created it, and I will give you some files to ease the setup of this. So when you click import, I already have this data tools to be imported. So once you import it, it already creates this ShipConstructor revisions details options, and we're going to have to edit that. And the reason why we're going to have to edit it is because this one right now is connected to one of my computers, but you have to reset up to be connected to your computer, to your server. So if you click on setup and you type in your server, in my case I am on my home computer, and you have to type in your SQL server, not just the computer name. You'll want to also go to options to select the database. So in my case, it's already selected as the project I want, and I click OK. As you can see here, it already has the SQL that I use to collect the data, as well as it has the properties that I want to show in my Properties tab when a part is selected. So this can be added and modified as you see fit. It's just this is the initial setup I have, and feel free to modify it to your organization's needs. So once I click OK, so it's all set up, and all I have to do at this time is select this checkbox, and once I select it, it will actually be applied to this drawing. So once I click OK, and now if I go select a part, it should automatically have a ShipConstructor Revision Details tab, which was part of my data tool setup, and give me the properties that I want. So as I select different properties, it gives me different information. So this information is pulling from the database each time I'm selecting an item. So as you can tell, it might affect performance slightly. And what I usually do is I can create a NWD file that has this embedded in the properties embedded in it, so it becomes, performance becomes a little bit better, and as if you're passing this to your manager or so forth, or design reviews. But before we do that, I want to do a couple other setups that I have here. If I go to my selection set and I import my selection set, again I created a bunch of selection sets for filtering of your revisions. So there's different ways, if a duration, so if I want to select all the parts that have changed in the last 6 months, it will select this one. If I want to find all the parts between the last 3 months and 6 months, which is a range, I would select this section. So I would recommend not selecting them right now because it does take a while to process it, and I don't think you guys want to see a cursor waiting. But we'll get the performance working a little bit better shortly. The next thing that I usually do is I do select all the objects, and I do change the color to gray, for example, as well as change the transparency, just to make it a little bit easier to see the objects that have changed. And this is personal settings, so you can, or personal preference, so you can change it to whatever you want. So the thing to do now is that now we want to export this into NWD to improve performance. So if we select output and go to NWD, there's an option here that says embed database properties. So if you don't select this, if I create an NWD, it will not embed the properties that I've added. If I select this, it will embed my database properties. So if you go ahead and click OK, it will actually create a NWD file for you with all the data that you actually require for the revisions. So this is my drawing that has been outputted of NWD with embedded properties, so it's already contains all the information. So one thing to note is this data tools of this connection here is that it's always there. So what we want to do is we want to disable it because there's no need to go to these revision details because we've already embedded it. And again, it improves in performance slightly or significantly. And if you click OK, so now it's not using the data tools. And as we select these selection sets, you can see that it's actually selecting the parts that have changed in the last or changed today. And you can actually use your interrogation. So if I actually want to select one of those parts, it goes to the ShipConstructor revision details. It'll tell me when it was changed, which was today, as well as who changed it and why I changed that. So you can find out all the parts that I've changed this month, all the parts that I've changed or has changed in the project in the last 6 months, and start really investigating, interrogating your model to get a little bit better idea of what has changed and figure out the cost of that change as well. So if I select this item, oops, and gives me all the properties that I need there. So hopefully that will help you set up a Navisworks project to view your changes and have it directly linked to a ShipConstructor project. And yeah, thank you very much.